Recently, a real estate investor decided to purchase an old industrial building with obvious signs of deferred maintenance. Specifically, the roof needed to be replaced. But instead of replacing it, he just decided to rent it out to a furniture manufacturing company. A few months later, a big storm caused a major leakage on the roof, damaging the tenant's production, leading soon thereafter to the lease agreement termination by the tenant. Now, the landlord not only lost a tenant, but has to pay for the damages. Fortunately, this will not happen to you, because in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to write a lease agreement that protects you as a landlord. So, stick around to find out. Okay, so let's now find out how to write a landlord-friendly lease. Okay, so the first thing, at least with industrial leases, you should always try to write a triple net lease. What is a triple net lease? It's a lease that the tenant pays for the taxes, for the property taxes. He pays also for the insurance, and he pays for the maintenance. Okay, you're probably used to the gross leases, that it's what it's the standard for multifamily or residential leases. That's where you pay all these things, the tax, the insurance, and the maintenance of the property. But at least in industrial properties, the most common type of lease is the triple net, because the tenant has to pay his own insurance, and also the property tax, and also the maintenance for his own space. Okay, so always the gross leases are always a headache, you know. So when you have a triple net leases, most of it's profit, okay, because the tenant already paid everything. So the second thing, it's you have to include, if for example you have a building that has many tenants, you have to divide the common area and maintenance between all those tenants. Okay, let's say you have an industrial building with 5 tenants, but you have a parking lot, and you have some other like lightings on the parking lot, you have some landscape, you have some security people there maybe. So you have to divide this common area maintenance between all these tenants. Okay, and you charge monthly a fee for all these services, for the landscape, for the janitors, for the security, everything. Okay, so usually you divide by the space, but you can negotiate any way to divide the common area maintenance fee between all those tenants. And this is additional to the maintenance on this triple net, because the maintenance, it's only inside the tenant space, and common area maintenance is for the exterior space, or landscape, parking, and all these things. Okay, so you have to charge both. Okay, so the third thing is, for example, in the introduction, I put the example of the roof leakage. Okay, so let's say you have to replace the roof. Okay, and when you are writing the LOI, the letter of intent, the tenant asks you to replace the roof because he sees the roof needs maintenance. So you can negotiate. If you have to change the roof, you can negotiate to charge more rent because of the roof. For example, if you have a long-term lease, let's say 10 years, you can divide the cost of the roof, divide on 10 years, and charge the rent plus that part of the cost of the roof to the tenant. So everything is negotiable. You can negotiate that, so that way you can change the roof and you will get some extra bucks to amortize that expense, okay, or that investment, because it's an investment. You have to capitalize it. The fourth thing is industrial. How long is the term on commercial leases, at least on industrial? Usually industrial leases are at least 3 years, okay? So 3 years and up to, that's what I like industrial, because industrial, if you make a build-to-suit development or you purchase a property that was developed as a build-to-suit, usually build-to-suit has very long-term leases, from 15 to 30 years or maybe more. So you can have on industrial at least 3 years, up to whatever you want, okay? But build-to-suit, 30 years, 15 years are common. The next is, if tenant asks for landlord build out, propose instead free rent or cash back. Why? Let's say you have a new tenant, and usually on industrial, this is more common on retail, but maybe some flex spaces maybe be more common in this, that the tenant asks for a build out. You know, he has to make some changes on the space, so he has some office or something, and he wants you to pay for that, okay? This is part of the negotiation. So some landlord agree to pay for that those build outs. But let me tell you something, if you pay for it, if you agree to pay, then you will spend that money. Let's say you spend $50,000, okay? But then you will not be able to write off those $50,000, because you have to, it's an investment. If you want to write off those $50,000, the IRS will say no, because you have to capitalize and you have to depreciate. It's the same thing as if you purchase a property, okay? Because it's an addition, it's something you put on the property, so you have to capitalize. So you will not be able to write off. So instead of accepting landlord build outs, you may offer free rent for the same amount. Let's say you agree for those build out, but you tell the tenant, okay, instead of building that and paying the $50,000, then I will give you those $50,000. Then I will reduce your rent. So instead of paying for the build outs, then you offer the tenant, I'm going to reduce the rent in the same amount all over the term of the lease. That way you are paying the same amount to the tenant, but now you can write off that expenses, okay, instead of capitalizing. Another thing is, when tenant asks for lower rent, propose other things like right of first refusal, right of first offer, or option to extend. So what you most appreciate on the lease agreement should be the rent, because it's the money, okay? So you have to play with other cards, okay, that maybe the tenant appreciates more. For example, the right of first refusal. What is that? If you have more space in that same building, then you have to tell the tenant first if he wants to lease that space, okay? So tenants usually appreciate the right of first refusal, because if they want to expand, they will be the first one to be asked to lease that space, okay? So the other is the right of first offer. So if you are leasing, it's kind of the same, but if you are leasing more space in the same building, then suppose you have another offer from other company. So you have to tell first, before leasing to the other company, you have to give the option to your first tenant to match the offer of this new tenant that it's bidding for the space. So it's kind of it's similar. And the option to extend, it's you have a 5-year term. You give an option to extend maybe for another 3 years or another 5 years. Okay. So the last thing, it's this is important. You have to define on the lease what will be considered maintenance and what will be considered capital expenses. Okay. So for example, you have this big leak on the roof. Your tenant may say, no, this is because you have, remember, when you have a triple net, the tenant pays for maintenance. Okay, so let's suppose you have this big leak on the roof. So you will say that is something you have to pay because that is maintenance. But the tenant may say, no, because the roof is too old, you have to replace it. You have to replace it. So that is not maintenance. So that situation you may be arguing, or maybe you end up in a lawsuit with the tenant, you know. So this is very important that you define what situations will be maintenance and what situation will be a capital expenses that you have to pay as a landlord. In the next whiteboard, I'm gonna teach you an example of this. Okay, so now let's see how the numbers will look like with a good lease agreement. So we purchased a Class C building, industrial property. So the Class C are building that usually old. It's maybe some deferred maintenance. So we have a triple net here, triple net lease here. So the tenant is paying for the taxes, for the insurance, and for the maintenance. And now the rent is $1.3 per square feet. Common area maintenance. Remember, common area maintenance, we split this fee that we charge monthly between all the tenants in our building. So we have this number by square feet. So by square feet, let's say we have the parking lot and we have some landscape. So we have to spend on the landscape company. We have some to spend in some security services company. So we are charging 10 cents per square feet. And we are multiplying this number by the leased space to each tenant. Okay, so common area maintenance, it's 10 cents per square feet. Recoverable expenses, so 30 cents per square feet. So that means from this rent, this is the gross rent, we are paying the tax, the maintenance, and the insurance, or maybe only the maintenance and the taxes, and then we are charging back for these expenses to the tenant. Okay, so then here in this, since Class C, it's a deteriorated building, when we negotiate the lease here with the tenant, he asked us to replace the roof because he wants to have a new roof. Maybe the roof was maybe not that bad, maybe it was like 10 years old, maybe not new, but not like 30 years old. He asked us for a new roof. Okay, so we negotiated and we said, okay, we are going to change the roof, but then we are going to charge you. So maybe could be the entire cost of the new roof, or maybe we only charge maybe half of it or maybe 20% of the roof. It's not necessary it's all the cost of the roof. We can negotiate. Okay, so we negotiate to amortize through the term of the lease here the cost of the roof with the tenant. So he's paying 20 cents a month per square feet. Okay, so the net rent, how much are we getting for the rent? Okay, so we are charging 1.3. Okay, this is the gross. Okay, and then we are charging the common area maintenance 10 cents. Okay, then we have to subtract the 30 cents for the triple net lease. Okay, because we are paying, but we are having back that money from the tenant. Okay, so 1.3 plus 0.1 plus 0.2 less 0.3, our total net lease would be $1.3 per square feet, because we negotiate a triple net and we are charging for the amortization of the roof with the tenant. Okay, in this video I teach you how to cover your back as a landlord when writing a good lease agreement. So what other provisions would you include in the lease agreement? Tell me, write it on the comments. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Really, it helps me a lot. And if you want to get notified every time I upload a new class or a new video, hit the subscribe button. That way you will get notified every time I upload new content. If you want to start investing in commercial real estate, but maybe you don't have the time or maybe the money to start in, you can join my exclusive investor club. My investors start investing from $20,000 US. And the best of it, it's totally stress-free. I manage everything. Just click on the link on the description and you will receive an email every time I find an investment opportunity for you. Thank you for watching the full video. I see you on the next one. But first, I will leave you with 2 more videos here.